As for us, we also let him know that we will continue to speak truth to power and push back hard when called for.
Oh, please.
As we have with all presidents.
Don't be mistaken. We're not here to defend or normalize Donald Trump. We're here to report on him.
I searched for a way to respond appropriately, and I called on my 10 years as a litigator in addition to my now 20 as a journalist, and I think I found the perfect phrase: go f*** yourselves. Go f*** yourselves, you dishonest jokes of faux journalists. What an absurd farce that was, Glenn. Which one was insincere? He's Hitler? Or now we're going to speak truth to power and find a way of speaking to and working with Donald Trump? Which one was a lie?
Many of you may know who Cenk Uygur is. He's from the Young Turks. And he posted, "The walls have been breached. We're in the upside down period, per se. Online media is now stronger than mainstream media. The establishment is scared for the first time of losing power, and they well should be. They're in the minority, and they have lost control of the message. That's why this election rocked their world." I just didn't know how far they had fallen. I didn't even know my rankings. Somebody sent me, "Barry, have you seen your rankings?" No, I haven't seen your rankings. Oh, do you realize right now, this show that you're watching, little Barry Cunningham on this little box called YouTube, will probably do more views than most of the shows on CNN and then MSNBC. Probably more than most of the shows of these people getting paid $7, $10, $20 million, and they can't do what what I'm doing right here. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that because he's absolutely right. The walls have been breached. Nobody wants to hear what you people are saying anymore. You're talking to the people on the panel, and that's just about it. Nobody else is listening. Saw this pop up right thereafter, after I saw that from Cenk. Here's proof of that. On November 11th, CNN recorded its lowest 25 to 54, that's the age grouping, demo ratings for a Tuesday night in nearly 25 years. The entirety of the network only averaged 61,000 viewers. I'm going to tell you right now, forget Barry. Dan Bongino, kicking their ass. Benny Johnson, kicking their ass. Me, kicking their ass. And we're talking about CNN with the gazillion-dollar studios and Jake Tapper and everybody else. You're getting your asses kicked by people like me. But you don't seem to understand where that puck is headed, and you don't even know how to skate to it. It's literally impossible for them to see. So I want to show you guys something. This is the data for, in this magazine I'm going to show you, this is Adweek. Adweek is the publication that tracks ads for advertisers, and so you can see exactly what the numbers look like and how bad they look, right? So let me just pull this up over here so I can look at it at the same time with you. Right, so this is 4 p.m. The 4 p.m. hour, and it's got Fox News Channel. This is during the week. This is the weekly. Fox News Channel, CNN, and MSNBC. At 4 p.m., Neil Cavuto is leading the market with 253,000 viewers on his show. CNN, Jake Tapper, has 110. Jake, I'm sorry, bro. I beat you. I beat you. Forget Benny. Forget Dan Bongino. They're all kicking your ass. I'm just beating you. They're stomping you. MSNBC, Nicole Wallace, yeah, beating you too. And then the 5 o'clock hour, you got the 5, which is at 442,000. Then Jake Tapper's second hour of 117. Nicole Wallace's second hour doesn't even chart. She lost to Golden Girls reruns. Then it just goes down from there. 6 p.m., Brett Baer, still kicking butt, 472. Wolf Blitzer. Wolf Flipping Blitzer. 72,000 views at 6 p.m. Ari Melber, 66. 7 p.m., Laura Ingraham, big time, 481. Aaron Burnett on CNN, just 83. Joy Reid, no wonder you deleted your Twitter following. You only got 76,000 people watching you. And then 8 p.m., you've got Waters, which is the big dog at 568. Anderson Cooper, who makes about $15 million a year, comes in at about 85,000 views. And then Chris Hayes, 77. As you begin looking at these numbers, you're seeing exactly what's happening. And what's happening is these people are getting killed. I mean, absolutely getting killed. Let me just show you another one. Let's continue into the night. Let me pull this one up. Okay, there you can see it. 9 p.m., Hannity, 469. Caitlin Collins, 87. I don't even know this girl. Erica Wagner, I believe, 53. 10 p.m., Gutfeld. Abby Phillips has 106. Lawrence O'Donnell, you only got 53,000. 11 p.m., Trace Gallagher, 324. Lauren Coates, 78. And what the hell, sir? Stephanie Rule only pulls up 62,000. I'm not making these numbers up. It may shock you guys to see this stuff. It may not shock you, but this is exactly why they're in trouble, why they're in deep trouble. And it only gets worse when you look at the weekends. So let's look at the weekend. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at weekend. And if you look at the weekend, 4 p.m., Fox drops all the way down to 116. FNN Live at 4. Look at CNN Newsroom, 58. MSNBC at 4 p.m., 13,000. And you can look on and on. I won't go through the entire thing, but you can see I started this show at 5, so let's look at 5. CNN Newsroom, 67. I'll get more than that tonight. Al Sharpton, 33. Probably already have more than him. CNN Newsroom at 6, 54. Jonathan Capehart, 27. CNN Newsroom, it just goes down. You see what I'm saying? You see that their audiences absolutely suck. Everything that we've been learning about working on this stuff has been absolutely true. They cannot keep up with online media. When you create one of these shows like a podcast here, and you take the time to develop an actual audience, not just people you're talking to and don't want to hear from. I'm going to delete my Twitter thing because I don't want to hear from you people. Nope. It's a two-way street here. I'm going to take some comments. I'm going to listen to what you guys have to say, and then we've got our private group where people can talk and let me know what they want to hear as well. And we're killing these people. They don't understand whatsoever on how to skate where the puck is going to be. They've got too many people who are telling them, don't do this, don't talk about that, talk about this, don't talk about that. And then Joy Reid, everything she talks about is racism and Hitlerian, and ethno-fascist is her new kick. Ethno-fascist. Nobody wants to hear what she has to say. And I realize at this point, Trump has these people by the cojones. He owns them. The network he has put together, and I mean network in terms of people and with Elon Musk has the biggest audience in the world. And then right behind him is Joe Rogan. And then probably right behind him is Tucker Carlson. And then you get Aiden Ross. And it just goes on and on and on. Theo Vaughn and all the way filtering down to someone like me. Dan Bongino, I think he gets 170,000 people watches, concurrently on his shows or overall. It's amazing. But it gets worse for them. It was something that RFK Jr. said, and I was watching and doing my notes and figuring out what I needed to put on, and he said something and it struck me. When he said that these television networks, 75% of their income, 70 to 75% of their income comes directly from Big Pharma.
With a stroke of the pen, you can change back the rule that allows pharmaceutical advertisers to do direct-to-consumer ads on television. That's one of the big problems. That's why one of the reasons we have this entrenched agency capture, not only of Congress, because they control the airwaves, they control the evening news. 75% of the revenues for those evening news shows for, Anderson Cooper is coming from Pfizer and other pharmaceutical companies. So, and those companies are dictating content on those shows, and they dictate the official narratives. And they're able then to exercise huge control over Congress. So Congress is terrified of them. But with a stroke of the pen, you can say this is not good for the health of our country, which it isn't. We spend 3 times more than any other country for pharmaceutical drugs because of all this advertising.
Most of the money is coming from Big Pharma, 70 to 75%. And then RFK Jr. said with a stroke of the pen, without having to go through Congress, just like they did with the cigarettes, they could tell the pharmaceutical companies, you can no longer advertise on television. You can't go direct, against the law. In about probably, what are we at, 58 days? So probably like 60 days from now, there may be no more pharmaceutical ads on television. It may be a day 1 or day 2 executive order where there's no more pharmaceutical ads on television. When that happens, not an if, when, they will probably go into court and try to sue. It'll probably take a couple of months. They'll lose. So let's say by March or April, there's no more money for network television. It's done. Bye. Now you know why Comcast is looking to sell MSNBC. Now you know why Comcast is ponying back up with Elon, because they're like, we need to do something. This isn't going to work. They're on life support right now. The plug is going to be pulled probably January 21, January 22. They're going to pull the plug. And now it's just going to be a matter of how long does it take before that corpse passes on. You see, they're going to pull 75% of the revenue from these networks on day 1 or 2. And I said they go to court and everything, so that's the life support. They're waiting. And then once the Supreme Court, whoever says, no, you can't do anything, they're done. They're done. It's not an if. It's when. It's how long is it going to take for them to succumb. They can't possibly pay these people that kind of money. And the fact is, since these people still want to do things the same way, it ain't going to work. Not going to work. And so what was interesting is when we were talking about all this, we were listening to, I was listening to some billionaires talk about what's going to happen with the pharmaceutical market and the media. And it's not often that you get to listen in to a couple billionaires talk about, oh, okay. And because of that, I've got the video for you where these 3 guys, plus obviously Elon as well, starts explaining specifically what's going to happen in the very near future. Listen to Elon first.
You obviously don't need that anymore. You've got the internet, so anyone can learn anything at any time. That's why X is the future. It's citizen journalism, where you hear from the people. It's by the people, for the people. That's what it's all about. I think this is a super big deal, and it's absolutely fundamental and transformative that the people actually get to decide the news and what the narrative and what matters, and that the legacy media is basically controlled by a handful of editors in chief. That's it. They decide what's going to get published.
Now imagine this. My wife, Robin, and I don't know if you can see him, but behind me, she is into watercolor. She's becoming pretty good in terms of what she's been painting lately. She used to be into photography, and then she said, I actually want to draw things. And there's no television stations. There's no place where she can go, is there a show that's going to show me how to make watercolor paintings? Nope. She asked me. I'm like, just go on YouTube and search it. There's going to be somebody who's very proficient, who's very good, who will show you how to make watercolors. And it's free. And about a week later, I watch her over in her studio, and she's painting. And she's got her iPad, and she's listening to the person telling her what to do and how to do it and how to make different colors and blend and all kinds of stuff. Not on television. Don't need it. You want to learn something. You want to find something out. It's there. You on your time. So you don't have to come back at Wednesday at 8 o'clock and find out how to make the watercolor not run. You can just go to the next episode and find out what watercolors work and how to make sure they don't run on your paper. She's good. This is what Elon's talking about. You have a world available to you on demand when you want it. Not somebody telling you you need to tune in at 8 p.m. on Tuesday. Nope, it's there whenever you want it. Just click a button. Anything you want to learn. You want to learn Taekwondo, you're going to need to actually get in some class, but you can start learning techniques. You want to learn math? There's some math people out there that'll show you how to do math. Anything that you want. You just want to be entertained. My wife watches, CMT. Last night we watched a movie. I was actually entertained. It was called The Grand Hotel. And it had both the Barrymore brothers in it and Greta Garbo. And it was a really interesting movie from like 1925. Think about that, 100 years. I'm not sure if it's 25, might be 1930, but I watched a movie that was probably 100 years old and dialed it up. Grand Hotel, right on Roku. Boop, boop. Came up. Good movie. I recommend it. Not just because I had to watch it with my wife. Yes, there are some she'll watch that I'm like, oh my God, this thing is boring as hell. But, same thing with Charlie Chaplin. I had never seen a silent movie. And she pulled up one of his movies, and I'm like, a silent movie? Has it got subtitles? Yeah. This is going to suck. Loved it. Never seen it before. You are no longer controlled. And now what X is doing is saying you are no longer going to be controlled in the news arena as well. You see, everyone has seen tutorials, and everyone has seen videos on how to do this and how to do that, how to make money doing this, and blah, 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 blah. But the one thing that they held their monopoly, that they didn't allow other people to do, was news. They're the ones who would tell you what to do. And now they're seeing that's going the same way as Napster. Anybody can do it. They can put up whatever news show they want, and they can cater to an audience that wants to hear it from them, and we're being pushed by this guy, Elon Musk.
That's why I really encourage everyone out there to write stuff on the X platform and other platforms too. But citizen journalism is the future.
I mean, look, I'm not saying that there's no benefit at all to let.
And this is David Sachs, one of the guys who's going to be talking in this billionaire podcast. It's very interesting. It's only I only cut 2.5 minutes here, so let's listen.
Pharma companies advertise some products. I think the question you have to ask is, why is so much money going from pharma to these news outlets? Because most of the products, that you generally can't buy them.
I'll tell you the reason. The reason is that the pharma companies make so much money off of government-funded insurance programs. Let me just state that again. If we only had private insurance, or if consumers had to pay for their drugs and their therapies themselves, the cost of drugs would go way down. The reason the cost of drugs has gone way up is because so much of the government insurance programs don't negotiate drug prices. And there are all these middlemen and all these people that sit in between that have been regulated through regulatory capture into the system that has allowed an incredible inflation in the cost of drug prices. Therefore, there is a lot of money to kind of continue the capture of the system. I don't think that it is right. And I think that the free market generally, or having a less regulatory captured market, will allow an appropriate kind of pricing of therapies, an appropriate kind of adjustment in the market, which doesn't exist today. So much money to kind of keep the market the way it is needs to kind of keep flowing. That's my sense of this. I don't think it's about bad drugs need to kind of stay in play as much as it is this market's been allowed to inflate, and the cost of healthcare and the cost of drugs has inflated in a way that's simply untenable, and it doesn't make sense. And I think that it's because of regulatory capture, and I think that needs to change. And I'm hopeful that it does.
That's the second reason then to get this pharma money out of advertising, because you're basically explaining it as like a self-looking ice cream cone. But again, there's another reason as well, I think, that explains the sheer magnitude, which is its influence buying, its influence peddling.
Yeah, so to your point, Sachs, that was what I was about to bring up. It's very subtle. You're not going to have somebody at NBC or CNN or Fox come down and tell Tucker Carlson or Rachel Maddow or Anderson Cooper, hey, you can't cover this story. Mm-hmm. But there is a bunch of self-censorship that occurs, I believe, where people just don't select certain stories to be on the docket, and they just shape the coverage so they might not say something positive or negative about Pfizer or Johnson & Johnson, whoever it is. They'll just avoid that story because these anchors are getting paid, or have been previously paid, $10 million, $25 million a year. Do you think they're going to really go hard at Pfizer or somebody like that? No, they're just not going to. I've been inside the machine. They just avoid those stories.
And I as well have been inside that machine. I worked for one of the biggest advertising agencies in the country, and I've sat in those rooms where those deals were cut with television networks and how much you're going to spend on a certain network to give your product a push. And at the same time, if I'm writing a check for $20 million for you to run these spots this month, you better make sure that when I run these spots, that your newscasters or people who are talking aren't saying things negatively about my product. So it's a catch-22. The host, Rachel Maddow, is getting paid $20 million. That money, 75% of it, is coming from a pharmaceutical company. So what is she going to say? She's going to promote everything possible to make sure that money keeps flowing. So if you know that Trump's going to bring in RFK Jr., and you knew this, a year ago? And you knew that this is what they were going to do if RFK Jr. was going to be coming into power. You were going to do everything you possibly can to call this man every single name in the world to try to convince your audience that this guy is the worst thing since sliced bread, because if he gets elected, it's not about being Hitlerian or ethno-fascist. It's about your gravy train coming to an abrupt halt. That's, you should have just said that, Rachel. You should have said that, Joy. Hey, listen, we can't have Trump come in, because if he comes in, they're going to cut 75% of the station's revenue. And if they cut 75% of the station's revenue, I'm going to have to find some way to live on $1 or $2 million a year. Whew, I live in New York. Shit's expensive. So we can't have Trump. I would respect you if you actually said that. I would respect you if you came out and said, this is why we're trashing Trump. As I've said for many, many times, they're so full of shit because I know that they deploy the same things that they talk against. Every single tax loophole they could possibly find, they are using to secure their own wealth. If Nancy Pelosi felt so strongly about the poor peoples, then why isn't she giving them stock tips? And why is she making tens of millions of dollars on insider trading? And she's not doing it. She's not saying, listen, hey, Leroy, yeah, I want you to go ahead and buy this stock, because if you buy some of this stock, you're going to make some money. No, she ain't doing that. Oh, that Trump guy, that orange man, bad. We need to raise taxes. Kamala, same thing. I knew when she was on stage talking about raising taxes that she was going to be able to use the loopholes that she wasn't going to touch. They're all liars.